Jesus friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Taylor Janese, and in today's video I am going to give you a life update. I have a channel update, so stick around to see what's been happening in my world. I've been gone for a couple of months, so keep on. Right, so Jesus friends, as you can tell, I have a brand new name for this channel. The channel name is no longer Taylor Janese, but it is now All Things Growth, because in this thing, as we journey through this thing called life, you're going to grow in all things. So God really led me to name this channel this. I did name this channel this before, when I was jump starting everything with my channel. I was going to name this, and then I don't know why I didn't, but like God always does, he made a full circle. And so I really ended up just choosing this name. This name really stuck out to me. It's something God was really putting on my heart and leading me to name it. So that's what I ended up naming it, and I'm glad I did. It makes so much sense. It's brought me so much clarity and everything like that. So I just wanted to make you all aware that is my new name of this channel, and I'm so excited to see where this channel goes. So with my life, that's the channel update. So that was all there is to it. It was just really following God's plan and making sure that I did what he's told me to do and not acting out of my own flesh, but really just being in him and doing what he told me to do. So that's the channel update. Now more into my life update. I have been gone for over 6 or 7 months or so, and I really needed that time to be off, honestly. I honestly needed that time to be off. God showed me so much. Why did I go? First of all, let's start there, right? Why did I leave YouTube for so long? I was going through attacks, spiritual warfare. I left around I wrote notes. So if you see me looking, I wrote some notes. Why did I leave? Heavy spiritual warfare. The enemy was really attacking my identity. The enemy was taking my identity hard. First, how he attacked my identity was on Instagram. So my channel, when I made my YouTube channel, I made an Instagram because I was like, if people want to connect with me, that was where I was going to send them. And somebody had actually made a spam account. It was asking people for money and stuff like that. So my account got hacked. The second one was on Instagram again. I fell for an Instagram scam, which was kind of on me. Not kind of, but it was really on me. I fell for a Instagram scam, and they ended up taking a lot of money out of my account, and they were trying to charge my money up. I wanted to go back to school so that I wanted to finish what I started. I went to college and I dropped out being very, what's the word I'm looking for? Impulsive. That's the word. I was being impulsive, and I moved to California, and I thought California was somewhere I was supposed to go. And so when I was at school all the time, I didn't keep up with my schoolwork, and I ended up flunking out of school, and I didn't go back. So so I wanted to finish what I started and stuff. I'm saying a lot, I'm sorry. As I proceed to say again, but yeah, so I fell for an Instagram scam when they were saying, go back to school, and there were certain things I wanted to go to school for, just to learn, and that wasn't for me. And so it made me even more discouraged and stuff. So the first Instagram made me discouraged because I'm like, dang, is this something I'm supposed to do? Like, at first I knew, this was something that I needed to make. I knew that. I knew this was YouTube was something that I knew God was calling me to. And it had been on my mind for years and years and years and years and years on end, like 5-6 years, like since I was in high school. So longer than that, really. I've always wanted to make a YouTube, but I've just been too cowardly. I never knew, I didn't know God like I know God now in high school. So I was just really cowardly. And so it was really discouraging when my Instagram got attacked. I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be on there. So I even took a hiatus from Instagram too. The only thing that I was really on was YouTube, because I watch YouTube videos. So I was not on YouTube like that. I was always on YouTube like that, excuse me. And so I took a hiatus from everything except for YouTube, because YouTube, I literally watch YouTube more than I watch TV. So yeah, I was just really, long story short, I was discouraged out of those attacks like that. And then on top of that, I was working. I really didn't make a schedule like I have a schedule now. I didn't make a schedule like I have. I'm sorry, I looked out my window. I didn't have a schedule like I have my schedule now. I didn't have a schedule. So I was just trying to be impromptu in filming and posting and stuff like that. So I really didn't even take, filming for YouTube serious. So that was another thing. Like, I wanted to do it out of my own gain, and I'll go into that later, what God was really teaching me during this hiatus. But yeah, I was attacked, and so that really made me feel discouraged. And so I took a hiatus for that reason. And so when I lost, I lost all hope. During this hiatus, I really fell in depression really bad. Now, I always battled with depression and stuff like that, but the depression that I was battling with was comparing myself to others. I was comparing myself with other channels, like they can get this many YouTube viewers and I can't get any, and I was just really into the comparison game. So it really caused me to go into depression. And I knew that I had to step away from social media, Instagram. I already was going from getting off of Facebook. I don't get on there unless need be anyway. So I knew when I was slipping into depression. I hope this story ain't all over the place too. But anyway, that's right. I knew that I was slipping in depression. I knew what I had to do. So I knew social media was going to have to go. So I did what I had to do. Cold work. A couple of months rolled by that I stepped away from YouTube and Instagram. And I still work like a regular job. I work overnight. So dealing with people in the workplace was another thing. Like, it was making me act. See, another reason I wanted to get off YouTube and Instagram, because I was acting one way off camera, and then I didn't want to get on camera and act a different way. Like I had all the answers, or I knew what I was doing, or I would have the right to tell someone not do this, and I'm doing it myself. I did not want to be a hypocrite, because I knew as a Christian YouTuber that people are looking to you, and they're thinking that you're acting one way off camera. Like the way you are on camera, they think you are that way off camera. And I didn't want to I felt fake. I felt like a hypocrite. I don't want to tell anybody what they need to do, and then I'm not walking in what I'm telling them to do. So that played a big part in, my hair is bunched up. That played a big part in why I left too, because I don't want to be one of those people who tell you God is going to do this for you. Stop doing this or stop doing that. I didn't want to preach a prosperity gospel, if you will. So that's not what I'm into, and that's not something that I wanted to do. I don't want to paint my life to make it seem like I am this way, like I'm holier than thou type stuff. And then I'm really struggling in real life, being a child of God. People really underestimate that. There's things that you cannot do because you are following Christ, you know, and it's not even religion really. But when you know better, you have to do better. So when you don't do better, how you gonna tell somebody else not to do that thing, if you get what I'm saying? So I was like, no, I have to step away because I have to go within. And God was calling me to go within. So this is around October and November, and in the workplace, getting back to the workplace, it was a lot of attacks there. The enemy was attacking my money. The enemy was attacking my identity. The enemy was just coming through like different places and stuff. So it was just too much to do. It was too much to fight off the camera, then get on camera. And you know what I'm saying? It was just too much. So I had to step away. So that started happening from October to November at work and stuff like that. I think I really started to get off camera around September, October. That's when the attacks started increasing really bad to where I had to go. So yeah, so that happened. And so I'm not going to go further into what was happening at work because yeah, you never know who's watching. So I just want to be very respectful of my job. So yeah, I was just dealing with attacks at work that were a major part in my depression. I don't want to even give it that much power. But it was making me angry, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. So yeah, it was just making me angry. So December rolls around. All this time though, I'm thinking, when am I gonna get back on YouTube? Like I was always constantly thinking like, I need to get on YouTube. I need to get on YouTube. I need to get on YouTube. But I just didn't feel connected to YouTube. I love YouTube. I don't say that in an idolizing way, but I love YouTube. You know, I love that you can learn a lot from YouTube. I learned that you can really do right and serve others through YouTube. So I was always, you know, thinking like, when am I going to get back on YouTube? Like, I really miss filming videos, because when I was filming videos, it felt good. You know, I felt like I had purpose. I felt like, you know, I was doing the right thing. It felt like God. Yeah, December rolls around. Still looking at my notes. I'm sorry. December rolls around and I think I'm starting becoming sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what I wrote. I said, so December rolls around this time and I'm extremely frustrated and was really caught up in comparing myself with other people. And so around this time, I did do a dry fast because I know, and two, I felt disconnected with God. Around this time, I felt disconnected with God. I felt like I didn't know what God had me on this earth for. So December, like I said before, I was starting to become sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, you know, I did a dry fast, a 5-day dry fast. I didn't eat for 5 days, and it was not God ordained. It was not God ordained at all. I thought it was, but now that I think back on it, it absolutely wasn't. I wanted to do this 5-day dry fast out of the flesh, my flesh. Okay, I did a 5-day dry fast, and it was out of the flesh of me. Like, it was out of my flesh. It wasn't out of the spirit. And with fast, you really have to be led. And so at work, I told them that I had a family emergency. Ooh, should I say that on camera? Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and skip past that part because who incriminates themselves like that? Anyway, I did a 5-day dry fast. And you know, while I did that fast, I was not seeking the Lord at all. When I tell you I heard my stomach more than I heard the Lord, That's what I mean. Like, I did not crack open a Bible. I did not crack open YouVersion on my Bible app. I did not say, Jesus, I need your help. What do I do? What do I do? I didn't do any of that. I was just hungry for 5 days. And it killed my appetite. And that was another thing. Like, I was struggling with my self-image and my self-esteem. I was struggling with the fact that I had lost all this weight when I first moved back from California. And then I gained all of it back. I had lost 50 pounds. And so, I was looking kind of nice. My body was looking like good and stuff. It was starting to look good. And I was starting to really like how my body was looking, and then like clothes were fitting how I always wanted them to fit and stuff like that. So when I gained that weight, it kind of made me frustrated. My back started to hurt again. Just that extra weight. I was starting to feel the extra weight all over mind, body, and soul. I was starting to feel that extra weight. So I'm like, let me do a 5-day dry fast, and then let me put God's name in it so I don't feel so bad for doing this fast, outside of him. So I did exactly that. I did this 5-day dry fast and was just hungry and did not seek the Lord at all. Didn't crack open a book or anything. And I didn't learn any. I can't tell you what I learned from it other than your appetite shrinks when you fast that long. Like, when I thought I was going to eat a hole in something, I only ate a hole in a salad, and even half the salad at that. Yeah, the only thing that fast did was suppress my appetite, which I was low-key wanting it to do, but I was just putting God's name on it. So later on that week, so a couple of days after my fast, right? My grandma had always been sick. Like, my grandma's been sick for a long time. And, I didn't grow up with my grandma on that side of the family because she lives in Arkansas and I live here in Texas. So I didn't grow up with her. We only seen them like every couple of years. Like, I think the last time I see my grandma, I was in high school because my grandfather had died on that side of my family. And so that was the last time I see my grandma. Now, my grandma fell real sick during this time. And I had hopes for her to, make it, but unfortunately she did not make it. She ended up passing away. And this was 2 weeks into December. So around like December 10th, December 12th or something like that, she ended up passing away. And so we had to, me, my 2 nieces, and my mom, we went down there, for her funeral and spent time with family and stuff like that. So, that was another thing that happened. So that stopped my progression in December. This is veering towards the end of the year. And then when we get back, 2 weeks? And then comes December 31st, which is my niece's birthday. So we did a celebratory thing with her. We celebrated her birthday. And then guess what happened? I caught COVID. So that really put me off my game. I ended up getting COVID. I got it on December 31st. I went and I got checked because my throat had closed up. Like, I could not even talk. Down here, I don't know if anybody else's, I shouldn't say y'all, that was kind of rude. Anybody else's hospital do this, but we have like a patient advisory nurse here where I'm located at. And you call them, you give them your symptoms, and then they tell you if you need to go to the hospital. I called the patient advisory nurse. I could barely even talk. My throat hurt so freaking bad. That's usually because I got strep throat, and so I couldn't swallow. It hurt to swallow. It hurt to talk. And so when I gave the nurse my symptoms, she couldn't even hear me. She was like, I know you can't talk, but I can't hear you. Like, no voice at all. So the enemy was trying to steal my voice. And I just remember I ended up going to Express ER because I called my mom. She was like, you sound terrible. Parents are so honest. She was like, you sound terrible. And I was like, I feel just like I sound. And she was like, you need to go get that checked out. So if you might have the Rona. I was like, oh no, I don't want to have that. Like, that's not something that I want to have. So I go to my local ER, a standalone ER, and I tell them, well, I make an appointment actually. I call and make an appointment, and then I go in and they run that test. They take my vitals and all of that. They goes like, your vitals are looking good. You just tested positive for the coronavirus. I was like, great. And like, I was like, man, like, God, what is you trying to do? What is you trying to tell me? And one thing that I know is when God wants your undivided attention, he know how to get your undivided attention. It don't take much. He knows how to humble you, because during this time from September all the way up to December, I was really acting in my flesh. I wasn't acting out of God. I wasn't acting out of my spirit. I was acting out of my flesh. I was doing things for my flesh, to appease my flesh and not to appease God. And that started to wrestle with me. I started to feel farther and farther and farther and farther away from God. So I was like, man, so when I heard that I was tested positive for the COVID-19, I was like, I felt defeated. That's what I felt. I felt very, oh, my hair looks crazy. I felt very, very defeated, because like I always knew, because I talked cash money-ish about the COVID-19 and how they're just using it to scare people. But it's one thing to talk about something you don't know and then actually get it and experience it for yourself. And so to fall sick like that, and I hadn't been sick in a minute, so to get sick like that, and then you can't help but to look at the news and see people are dying from this thing every single day, and how people are dying. Like, the mortality rate for this COVID-19 was crazy. So, you know, it couldn't help but to play in my mind, like, man, like, what could happen? Like, I don't know. I just couldn't help but to see what was going on in the news. And then when you fall sick, like, you don't know what's going to happen. And so during that time, I was so weak. I couldn't even walk to my bathroom without getting like too hot, or I couldn't walk to my bathroom without being out of breath. And I was trapped in this. And I was so weak that I couldn't even walk to my bathroom and back without being so winded, or I couldn't even, like, I had no appetite. And then when I was hungry, I couldn't even do anything. Like, I remember I made me a baked potato, and just the heat, it was so hot from the oven, because I hit my face, and it made me winded instantly. And I didn't even do anything. And I was like, man, like, Lord, I know I'm like on the bigger side, but I'm not that big where I get winded just walking here to the bathroom or here to the kitchen, or the heat from the oven knocking the breath out of me, literally. So it made me think about a lot of things. And one thing during that COVID-19 is, like, I noticed, like, and I don't say this in a crazy way or anything like that, but nobody called me. Like, nobody checked up on me when I went through that quarantine for 10 days. I was doing that. Nobody was there but God. So it's like, you put so much trust and you look to men, like, depending on others. I put so much into people. Nobody called to check up on me. Like, my job knew, like, my job knew I had it because I had to call them and tell them I had it. You know what I'm saying? Nobody called, nobody checked up. Family didn't call, family didn't check up on me. So, and that's perfectly fine. People have to go on with their life, but God made me realize He was always there for me. And it's Him that I need to be looking at. Like, God never left me in that time. And as alone as I felt, because God ain't leave me. You know what I'm saying? And it's that kind of stuff that when God needs to humble you, that's the way He'll do it. So yeah, I felt sick, but I realized that I can't depend on nobody but God. You know what I'm saying? You can't even depend on your family. And I don't say that to say that was a bad thing, but that's what I mean. Like, put God first. If you put God first, because I was putting people first. So when it comes to their job, take that PTO. When it comes to people, if it's you or them or God and them, choose God every single time. You won't go wrong. And if they get offended, let them get offended. That's the little gem I got out of that. Like, put God first, because He is here when you're at your lowest moment. Like that, when I was at my lowest moment, being sick like that, who ain't never left me was God. Other people have to go on with their life. Their jobs don't stop, their bills don't stop, but God will stop for that one. That's powerful. That's powerful. God will stop for you. When He found you, He stopped. And He rejoiced because you were turning back home. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing that made me think, like, God ain't went nowhere. Here He is, and I was weak. I couldn't, I was thinking about God. I was like, dang, God. And I said that, like, because I couldn't even talk. If I started talking, I would, like, have a coughing attack. When I had the COVID-19, it attacked my lungs bad. And I know that's what it is, an upper respiratory infection. But when I say I couldn't talk, I couldn't laugh, because if I laughed, I was going to go into a crazy coughing attack. When I talked for too long and I got an ounce of winded, my lungs went into overdrive of coughing, to the point where I literally thought I was going to cough up a lung. Like, that's how bad, it got. That's how bad it attacked my lungs. But through that, God made sure I knew that I wasn't alone. My family couldn't check up on me. Nobody brought me food. I was using a whole lot of DoorDash, or I was cooking, because there's a day where it snowed before the snowpocalypse hit Texas. It snowed a couple of months. It snowed a month before, not a couple of months, but a month before, in December. And then in January, February, then it really snowed. So nobody was doing nothing for me, but God made a way for me to get what I need. I never went without. I know that. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for myself. Like, I got sick real bad, and it made me realize, what am I chasing after other people? Whether that's validation, whether, that's for somebody to listen to me. God is always listening to me. All I have to do is go to Him. And that's the valuable lesson I learned in that. Stop running to other people. Run to God when you have a problem. Like, I don't get it. God sent His only begotten Son to bear the weight of our sins. And I'm going to run to somebody else who could never do what Jesus did for me on that cross. What am I running to them for? I don't know. That was crazy to me. But, even with that, I still struggled after this point. And it gets better. It gets better. It gets better. And I literally mean it get better, though. Because after I got sick and it made me realize some stuff, like, I just went into thinking mode. Like, when you think about all that God has done for you, like, you just, I don't know. That's the mood I got in. So, yeah, I got better. And, you know, to be honest, my lungs still ain't even 100%. Like, if I go to yawn, it'll still hurt, because after I got sick and stuff like that, after I got better, like, I couldn't yawn because it hurt real bad. It hurt my chest. And to a certain point, it still hurts my chest. Like, my chest still hurts, or anything like that. So I'm still dealing with the after effects of it. It's not as bad. My taste went away, my smell went away, you know. So I was I thought I was gonna eat healthier. So I was like, hey, I ain't got my taste, I can eat good stuff. Nope. My body still was craving bad food. I just couldn't taste it. But, you know, after I got better, this is where God humbled me too. Like, during this time away from YouTube, God was humbling me. And it didn't feel good, but I knew, it's like, if I don't change, he gonna give me over to my reprobate mind. So that after I got better, it hits, this is in January now. I go back to work, everything's fine. I'm getting back into the groove of things. So, oh my goodness, how do I say this? How do I say this without vulnerability? Okay. Dang, it was still a lot that happened. This was some crazy times that happened during my times off. So, how do I say it? I'm trying to see how I say this thing. Pretty much, after I overcame COVID-19, I ended up wrecking my car. This is how I wrecked my car. So pretty much I was venting, right? I'm not even going to call it venting, because that's not what it was. I was talking about, because at my apartment, there is this girl, and, well, she's a grown woman. Let me not, that's kind of condescending. There's this lady who, I guess it's her significant other, whatever you may have it. And, oh, this is so embarrassing because I know better. So this is her significant other, and she would always side-eye me or something, or just look at me crazy because she thought people was trying to get with her dude or something like that. And so I was talking to my coworker, and I was like, don't nobody want him? Like, he's a scrub, girl. Like, he living in your apartment and he got a ride in your car. This dude ain't even got a car. And I knew better for saying that. Like, it was mean-spirited and it was an ugly thing to do, but I sure did say it. And so, but it was getting on my nerves. Like, stop acting like people want this man. Like, I was really saying it like that. I was like, girl, like, if you only knew, like, nobody wants him. And then it's like, I knew better. I can't even get around that, y'all. I knew better. I knew all the way better. So our show was talking like that. I was like, nobody want him but you, girl. He is right where he need to be. And it was very ugly. And so guess what happened? I ended up wrecking my car because I put my lips on him and saying he didn't have a car. I ended up wrecking my car because when I went to park it into the, because we have these sheds. See, I don't know, but we have a shed under there with steel poles. That is straight steel. My car found that out that day. That is straight steel. Like, I went to park and she, like, I ain't gonna lie, she has a nice whip. She has a nice whip. And so it was either I was gonna hit her car or my car was gonna hit the steel pole. And so there's a certain way you have to come in. You can either swing in really wide so you can avoid the pole, but then that's when I was going to hit her car. So I was like, I'm not trying to hit this girl's car because that is too nice. she will go to my insurance, and I ain't got time for that. So I ended up, I hit the pole. I wasn't trying to hit the pole, but I hit the pole, and that was $3,000 in damages. Yep. And that was nothing but my fault, because when I put my lips on him about not having a car, I ended up not having a car for 2 weeks. But it ended up working up for my good, because literally the day after I put my car in the shop, Texas got hit with that snowstorm. So I was without a car for 2 weeks, and it sucked baloney, because I hate depending on people to do stuff for me. I've always been that way, and I don't know if it's an ego thing, but I just like going and doing as I please. Like, you can't tell me I can't go nowhere. You can't tell me to be back at this certain time because this my car here. I don't know. I'm like that. So yeah, that sucked, not having my car for 2 weeks, but it was a blessing, because I didn't end up wrecking my car, and I couldn't get a rental car because of the snowstorm and stuff like that. They were pumping those things up, because if you rent, and I would rather not have a rental car, because if I would have wrecked that one, oh, it would have been a problem, and I would have had to pay. It would just been too much. So yeah. So that happened. Then in the middle of the snowpocalypse, guess what else happened? My phone got stolen. And God taught me how, like, dependent I am on my phone, because I literally act like I didn't know what to do without my phone. Now, how my phone got stolen, I still to this day could not tell you, but I am so mad. And this, like, it didn't help that we were in the middle of the snowpocalypse. So I don't know if my phone was buried under the snow, if it was just that. Either way, it was gonna be gone, because it was in the snow. It was gone. If it got stolen, it was gone. But I do know people tried to steal my identity with that, because that's how I know it got stolen, because somebody called my phone and said they were gonna make over $3,000 in purchases, or $5,000 in purchases through my bank, because I have my bank on my phone, but you can't get into my bank because I have a passcode, thank God. And they called my mama's house and said that. They didn't even call, well, they couldn't, but they called my mama's house and said that, but they were a scam. So God taught me a lot of lessons, and one of the major ones was to shut up. Shut up, girl. Stop talking. And I don't find that ironic at all. Well, I do find it quite ironic that God took the thing that I was talking mess on away from me. I was talking mess on that phone, so he took the phone away. And I ended up getting a new one, clearly, because I'm recording on this one here. But I learned a lot of lessons. And that was in the first part of the year. So January started off crazy. Now, January through March were months of confusion for me. I'm sorry if this is dragging on and on and on, but I've experienced a lot, and I didn't realize how much it was until I sat down and is now making this video, but this is a lot. So after the snowpocalypse in February, so after the snowstorm pretty much melted away in this Texas heat, February through March were really months of confusion for me. I didn't know what I was doing with my purpose at all. I did not know what was going on. I didn't know what to expect. I just didn't know. So I was very, very frustrated and confused. Now, I have to mention this book because this book is behind me. Yeah, February through March were months of confusion for me. I wrote, I didn't know what I was doing, what my purpose was, slipping into slight depression. Now, I was already battling with depression back and forth, but it was like, it was frustrating for me because it felt like everybody else knew what they were supposed to do but me. And sorry about that. I didn't understand. And so I was like, why does everybody else know their purpose and I don't know mine? Like I really legit did not understand that. Why everybody else know their purpose and I don't know mine. So it was agitating, and a coworker gifted me with this book, and it's slightly worldly, but if you just get the message that you're supposed to get out of it, it's not bad. So it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving an F by Mark Manson. And this book, you might not think, and I get it, like it's not a Christian book, but it says it's a counterintuitive approach to living a good life. This book has a lot of gems in it, and if you take out the cursing and just get the message that you're supposed to get from it, this changed my perspective. This changed my perspective with being frustrated at work, with being frustrated in my own life. So this was a game changer. Bad, I'm being nosy. I'm being nosy. So that was a game changer to me. And I'm on chapter 9 in this book, which is the last chapter. But this book served you up a slice of, if you ain't gonna do nothing about it, be quiet. I love this book so much. I don't know how I'm gonna repay my coworker for blessing me with this book, but this book blessed me, like to the point where I don't know how I'm gonna repay her for this, because this served up, this is a book that was like, it read me for filth. It read me for filth. And this is when I read this book, this is when things started to change for me. It really gave me an approach of, I can't even explain what it did for me, but I just suggest that you read this book, because this really changed the game. Again, if you don't like all the cursing and stuff in it, then I mean, don't read it. But I just changed the words into, you know, shenanigans or shiitake, or, you know, you get the point. Or I just didn't say them and I ignored them. But that was a good book for me to read and things like that. I actually did a whole Bible study off of that book in James, because just like that book reminds me of James, because if you know, James came at you. He made you like, why, like, what you doing, girl? What you doing? Like, you gonna do something about it or you not? That's how the book of James is for me, and that's why it's one of my favorite books in the Bible, because it serves you up of what you gonna do about it. If you ain't gonna do nothing about it, be quiet. Oh yeah, I just keep saying I don't know what to say, because I ain't been on camera so long, so excuse my nervousness. But that book changed a lot for me, and it started to make me change some of my habits and some of my ways, and it really caused me to dig a little bit deeper. And I was like, God, you say this in your word, like this is what you say. Like, it took it from a worldly perspective and I was able to translate it into a Christian perspective. I don't know, it just made sense to me. So I really enjoyed that book. And so when things were starting to click for me, I started to dive deeper into, you know, the why, because I think a lot of people want to know the why of their lives. Like, why am I here? Why does this hurt? Why does this, why did they do that and stuff? And that book really jump started my process of digging deeper, of God wanting to get things out of me. And I remember a moment where I moved to California with 2 other women. And one of those women, I fell out with. Now I have known her the longest. That's what was crazy about it. And how our friendship ended, it was very heartbreaking, and I always questioned the why. And I always held this bitterness in my heart. And this is when I'm gonna jump to April of this year. Because April, let me just tell you, April 27th changed my life in a powerful way. Oh yeah, I feel the Holy Spirit on this one. April 27th changed my life. And let me get you a backstory of that. So I moved, going back to the story, I moved to California with two other women. I knew one of these women, I'm not going to say their names, for like 3-4 years before we moved. We actually on her for like some 4 years or so before we moved to California. And we were going through the same kind of trauma. Both of our boyfriends at the time, they broke our heart, and we really didn't really understand why. And we were left traumatized because of the situation. And so we were able to bond off of our trauma. And we understood each other like crazy, so I thought. And we honestly formed a sisterhood, so I thought. And when I had first went on my journey, because it was through my heartbreak God found me. That's the crazy part. We were starting to go on this journey together. Now, did we get back in the world together? Yeah. But we was also turning to Jesus together. So I thought we were turning to Jesus, right? And she was a singer. And she was a pretty good singer and stuff like that. And so we had always talked about, like, it was kind of creepy because we had the same kind of goals. You know, we just wanted to do different things, but we both wanted to move to California. We both wanted a taste of what California was like and just move out of our cities, because we both felt misunderstood by people. Like, we were just two peas in a pod. We were best friends. We were sisters. We weren't best friends. We were sisters, right? And so I thought, and we moved to California, and she started gaining a little bit of traction. And so she's not like I'm not going to downplay that. Actually, I don't know what God is doing in her life. I do wish her all the best and everything like that. I genuinely wish that she is happy in whatever she's doing and things of that nature, right? But she starts, you know, she's making moves, to say the least. And me and the other girl, we don't matter to her anymore. And so she was, once she got what she needed, she was going to drop us like a hot potato, like a bad habit, right? And she did that. Like, it was like a 360. Like, she never knew us. She acted like she didn't know who we were. She didn't speak to us to a point where we would ask her how she was doing. No dialogue. And so we was like, what did we do wrong? Like, we did something wrong. We didn't do nothing wrong. But like, that's how we were talking. Like, what did we do? We didn't do anything. And so, long story short, me and that individual are no longer friends. You know, she deemed it, we were not fit for her life at that time or whatever. So fast forward a couple of years later, we go our way, and you know, I come back traumatized. I was traumatized about that, and I held a bitterness and a resentment in my heart for this individual for a very long time. As much as I said I wasn't or didn't, but I held a resentment for this individual for a very long time. And one thing that this book pointed out, this Mark Manson book pointed out, was expectations are just for, what am I talking about? When you're frustrated, that's because expectations are not being met in your life. And now, it's making you feel a type of way. It's starting to fester as anger and bitterness. And that's so true. When you expect something to happen and it doesn't, it's a disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. And so when you make these expectations of something to happen and that thing doesn't happen, you start to get a little mad and frustrated. And that's what I was getting. Had so many expectations for my life that I was starting to be frustrated because these expectations weren't being met. And so that's the same with this girl. Like, I expected her to be a friend, but she wasn't. And so now I'm angry and I'm bitter. And so fast forward to April. I'm already in April, right? She came across, I was on Facebook for some odd reason, and I dislike Facebook, but she came across my Facebook and I started to snoop. Now, mind you, God hasn't dealt with me about the bitterness and resentment that's in my heart just yet. But I go to her page and I see that she is now married. Congratulations to her. And she just seems so happy. And I said, I got very angry in that moment. I'm not going to lie. I got angry. This was on a Monday. This was April 26th. April 26th, I went through her, and this was late night. I went through her Facebook, and I just see that she's happy. I was like, and I was going through my journals and stuff, and I had written with my heartbreak. I'm like, not my journal. Yeah, I did go through my journals. And I was like, why am I so forgettable to everybody? Like, why? Why can everybody just move on and I can't just move on the same way? Like, why am I always stuck in this cycle of hurt? Why do I have to deal with the aftermath of everything? I was really angry. And I slept on that anger. And I woke up and it was such a heavy burden on me. Tuesday morning, I woke up. It was kind of gloomy like it is now. I woke up Tuesday morning and heavy burden. And what is Matthew 28? You know what? Let me continue with this story. No, I'm gonna say the verse. Matthew, I think it's 11 and 28. Come to me, all those who are laden and heavy laden and burdened and stuff like that, and he will bring you rest for your souls. That's how I felt. I felt like I had two huge weights on my shoulder, and I'm angry. And that night, let me backtrack. That later that night, when I seen that, I cried. I bawled. Because, and it wasn't just from her, it was from everybody who I felt rejected me. And that's how I knew I put too much value. I put too much on man to be my everything instead of God being my everything. I didn't realize this at the moment, but as I'm talking, I realized it. And I'm just bawling because I'm like, why does everybody get to move on but me? And then I start getting into the game of comparison. Everybody who has left me now is happily married and joyous and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm still here and I have to deal with the hurt and the anger and the bitterness that resides inside of me. And people get to just reject me and move on with their lives, and that's perfectly okay. And I was angry with God at that. I was very angry at God with that. And so April 27th, man, I woke up and I was very heavy burden and two weights on my shoulders. And it was a gloomy day like this. And I just I took a shower, did everything I need to do just to put my pajamas back on. And I sat right here and I was looking out the window, and then I just started weeping. I started weeping, and I was like, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for, not trusting you. And I said, God, I feel so rejected by people. I was like, why do people get to move on and I have to stay like this? I was like, I'm sick of staying like this. And, I had a repentant heart too. I started repenting to God. I was like, God, I'm sorry. I was like, I need you to take this cup away from me because I do not want this anymore. Because God had told me, man, this is crazy. Before I had started speaking, let me backtrack. I didn't just come out and do this. So let me backtrack because God did this. When I sat on that ground, I heard God say to me, he was like, speak. And I didn't get it. He was like, speak to me. You let things bother you. Stop letting things fester in you. Talk to me. That's why I'm here. He said, that is why I sent my son to you, to bear the weight that you're feeling right now. So speak. And so then that's when I that's when I started weeping and crying. Why do people get to move on? Why am I so replaceable to everybody? And I'm letting it all out. I'm really bearing my heart and letting my heart cry out to God. And he was like, even with the things I did, because after my heartbreak, I went crazy. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I just went crazy. And he was like, you sit here and you let stuff bother you. And he was like, this is why I sent my son to you. Jesus bared this right here. So I need you to lay everything out on the line to me and let me take up this weight and you take up my cross. And in that moment, I'm like, wow. God is really my rock. And I felt like that was like a hug from God. And I felt like God was really consoling me. I felt like he heard me in that moment. Sorry, I don't mean to, my face looks oily, but oh well, I don't mean to get teary-eyed or anything like that or emotional. But in that moment, I felt like God really held me in his arms, and it felt good because it felt like to this world and to everyone, I was very replaceable. But with God, I felt like he really heard me, and I felt like, I don't know, I felt like he was my rock in that moment. And all day, because I was in a Level Up Your Faith challenge in this group, this sisterhood that I'm in, and that challenge that day, that journal challenge, lined up exactly with what God was telling me to do in my life. And it felt amazing. I felt heard. I felt like God really comforted me in that moment. And that is a day that, I gotta turn it up. That is a day that really changed my life. And I have been on a high ever since. Like, I felt like I got this. Can't nobody take anything from me. I felt heard. And I just felt the thorns of my heart, those deeply rooted thorns in my heart, just being plucked out. It was being plucked out. It was being plucked out, man. And I can't even explain to you the feeling and stuff like that. But I say all that to say this, that when you give your life to God, God will give you eternal life. You have to lose your life in order to save your life. I die to myself, but I live to Christ. And let me tell you, this is some exciting news. I got baptized yesterday. So this is day 1 of me being a brand new person. And I've been so excited. So just let God help me, Holy Spirit. How can I put this? To anyone feeling rejected, feeling like you're not being heard, feeling like you're being overlooked, feeling like everybody else has happiness and you don't need happiness when you have God's joy. God's joy is something that can never be taken away from you, and is something only God can give to you. So if God gave it, then the world can't take it away. And I want to let you know that you are not alone. You do have Jesus Christ as your Savior, who bared the weight of your sins so that you can live free in Him and have a relationship with God. So don't ever think that just because this world counts you out that God does too, because He doesn't. And just be free in Him and go to Him when you feel burdened, when you feel heavy laden. God will give you rest for your souls, because His yoke is easy and His burden is light. Take up Jesus's burdens. Don't take up the burdens of this world. It'll leave you empty, I promise you that. So, my life update. Whew, that was long. That was longer than I thought. But the exciting news, friends, that's what I just want to leave with you, is God hears your heart cry, and just let your heart cry. Be vulnerable with Him, because the minute I was vulnerable with God, everything changed, and my life has felt brand new ever since. April 27th was the best day of my life, and I can honestly say that because I honestly felt God's hand on me, hugging me, comforting me, something that the world ain't never done for me, or other men or women of this world ain't never done for me. So just give your life to Jesus and let Him do the work. It's not an easy road, and nobody ever said or promised you, not even Jesus promised you, it would be easy, but it is worth it. So yeah, so what I'll leave with you is this. Yesterday, March 24th, I got baptized, and that was the second best day of my life, because I left all those burdens in that water. I got baptized in my tub. So I would encourage you to get baptized. I would encourage you to get baptized and do what the Lord is calling you to do, because yeah, if God is calling you to get baptized, get baptized. And because I got baptized, and I am so excited that I got baptized, and I want to share that with you. So what I will be doing, because I'm in this video, I am going to be sharing clips of my baptism and stuff. And so I'll encourage you to die to yourself and live for Christ. It's the best decision I have ever made. Following Jesus is the best thing that I've ever done in my life, and I don't regret it. And I hope that He can use me in the way that He needs, and I hope He can use you all in the way that you need. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you for taking the time to listen. I forgot to say at the beginning, grab some snacks, some drinks, and just listen and all that kind of stuff. But thank you for listening to me, and I will talk to y'all later. Peace.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Come on, I said, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Today, I want you to put your finger up your nose, and I'm about to baptize you, and there are thousands of people that are going to be baptized right here in this time. Today, we baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Glory to God!
saved.
Eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. It's not even entered into the heart of any man on this world what God has planned for you. So proud of you. And you just made the greatest step after salvation that you could ever make. We want to walk with you. I want you to join me in video form so I can tell you your next step. Congratulations again.